TD, Amazon, Loblaws, Toronto, Spotify, Microsoft, and so on and so forth. But today is all about Orang and her story. So I'm going to stop presenting and then I'm going to focus on you, Orang. Orang, thank you so much for your time. You look amazing, by the way.
Thank
I don't know if
you.
I
You
said this
too.
before. Um, and I've had the opportunity to hear your story, and it's just remarkable the journey that you've had um, from your days being an international student to now you are a working professional. So tell us a little bit about yourself. If your family or maybe your siblings were to describe you in maybe three sentences, what would they say?
I think they'll say I'm determined. I'm fun to be with. I'm crazy. I don't care. Like I literally don't care. And then I'm also very caring about the people in my space. Yeah.
So you're determined, you're fun to be with, and then you are caring. Karen is like, I finally get to see Mitchell. Awesome. Sounds good. That's awesome. And you came to Canada as an international student from Cameroon, correct?
Yes.
And tell me, what were some of your expectations? You are on that flight. I came as an international student as well.
Mhm.
You were on that flight. I don't know what airline you came in, and you were
Mhm.
coming to a new country, starting life. What were some of the expectations that you had when you were coming to Canada?
Um, I had a lot of expectations and yes, and I also had a lot of doubts. So it was a good blend of both. Because I came into Canada, I was 18. I was turning 19 in a couple of months. And then I was going to be alone without my family. So I didn't know what to expect. I had a lot of dreams of what I wanted to do, how I planned school, how uni was going to be, make friends, go out, because finally I was home with my parents anymore. And then there was also the part of how was I going to survive now that there's no family? In the times where I'm down, who will I run to talk to? Because it's true you call, but there's already the time difference. And if I have an issue, how soon will you pick up the phone? I was skeptical about the new family I was going to make. Were they going to be good people? Were they going to have my back? Just like back home. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I feel like when you were talking, I don't know if there's any other, if you were an international student at US or in Canada, just put that in the chat. I was an international student too, and I had those same emotions moving to
Mm.
Canada. It's like, man, this is a whole new place. I'm 17, 16, by myself, not sure what to expect, not sure what life holds. But tell us about your educational background. What did you study in school, and why did you study what you studied?
So initially, well, back home, I didn't know I was going to travel. So I wanted to do petroleum engineering right from back home. So I didn't do computer science. I studied further mathematics, I did maths, physics, chemistry, and all of that. When I finished school, I wanted to go to Germany. So I studied the German language for close to 2 years, finished the German language, and then came the pandemic. Pandemic occurred. We were not able to travel to Germany, and that was how I came about Canada. So prior to coming to Canada, because of the whole pandemic, I decided to start school in Cameroon. And now the only petroleum engineering school was like in the far north area. That was mostly where the oil and gas, everything was happening. So my mom called me one day and she's like, you know what? I don't think I want you to go this route. I've spoken to a couple of my friends and we want you to further your studies and it will be good for you to get into IT. Because from what her friends told her, it's an ever evolving environment or space. And she felt like I could have good opportunities compared to studying petroleum. So I was skeptical at that point. But if you know one thing about African parents, you cannot disobey. So I was like, you know
Amen
what?
to
Yeah. I was going to try this route, but I was scared because I had never studied computer prior. I didn't even pass like from five computer science. I wasn't good at computer, honestly. I was like, you know what? I was going to give it a shot. So I went to school, I registered in uni, and I started doing it. And 2 months after doing it, it was really good. I was a new person, but I was explaining things to my class who were there. The further mathematics which I had learned was helping me there. And that was just sort of how I decided to, study into IT. And then when I applied for Canada, Seneca had just also launched a program in computer engineering. So it was like, okay, maybe everything is telling me to go this route. And that was how
that's
I
amazing.
I registered, got admission, and then after a month, I got the offer letter for Seneca.
Yo, shout out to African parents, man. They know where it's at, right? Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, if you were raised by an African mom in the chat, you just put Africa or AF in the group chat. I think your mom was 100% spot on the way things were moving in the industry for sure. IT was an ever growing market. There's a lot of opportunities for you, and then she didn't want you to go all the way like into the deep parts of Canada. And tell me about you had this hopes, you had studied this program, you're ready to hit the workforce, you graduated, you were excited. Okay, now I'm gonna get a job.
Yeah.
What was that initial hit once you I just like Africa? What was that initial hit when you were done with school and then you started looking for jobs? What was the experience like? Once you started applying for roles, and what kind of roles that you were applying for after you were done with school?
Okay, good question. So when I finished school, actually, I was kind of scared because my whole experience in school, we were just two girls in the midst of 10 guys in class, and then I was the only black girl, and I was in class with people who have studied technology from when they were children right up to this age. So there's always that need to prove a point at every point. I didn't want to be seen as that black girl who does not know anything or
Mhm.
anything of that light. So coming out of finishing school, I'm like I was happy that I could finish school. For me, it was a major milestone, just starting and staying to the end and not giving up. Because I know that at some point, a lot of people kind of expected me to quit halfway. But just finishing well, it gave me the confidence that if I could start, then there's just more to continue with. Did I have those challenging moments? Yes, I did. And now with the changes in the IRCC, we just get just 3 years and you have to get a job, get good points to get the express entry, to get a permanent residency. So it looks like 3 years, but it's actually not a lot if you calculate the
Mhm.
time to get a job, to gather all those points together. So, and a lot of people had told me, you know what, you have to tarry for a while before you get a job. It has to be like a year or a year and something. So I should not, quote unquote, have high hopes or high expectations of what I want the job market to be. But I just knew where I was coming from. I knew this had to work. Like I respect the fact that it took you a year or something, but I just knew my story had to be different. And
Mhm.
everything that led up to that moment was just me remembering where I was coming from, remembering every challenge I had passed through, be it from school to paying tuition. And I was like, I didn't go this far just to end here or just to come here and start spending a whole year looking for a job and trying to gather points. And eventually, when the 3 years come to an end and I've not gathered the points, I will have to leave Canada. It feels like
Mhm.
I'm going to have to start over again, which I didn't want to do it. So for me, I was open to any and every opportunity of growth. I was going for all tech events, like I was going all out. I didn't want to hear anything. Anywhere I could find somebody that knew something that could help me. And in my friend circle or among the people I know, there was nobody that actually studied IT prior. So it was a difficult position because I didn't have anybody to look up to or anybody to
Mhm.
help me, quote unquote. So I started looking for developer roles and then it was just crazy. The only thing I was seeing was internship. I don't have experience. I don't have this. And it was frustrating. I remember I got an interview one day. I was scheduled for an interview one time. And then 30 minutes after, they called me and said it was a mistake. And I'm like, okay. With all my excitement, I was
You
really,
were scheduled for an interview. Super
yes.
excited. I'm sure you probably gave that testimony. Oh, praise the Lord. I have an interview. And then, bam, we made a mistake.
30 minutes after, they emailed me, oh, please disregard the first email we sent. And it was a mistake. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. How does
How
it
did you feel at that point? Once you got that sort of response, you're a smart young woman, you're topping your class, you worked really hard for this, and you're okay, it's time for me to break in and get a job. And you're applying for these software development roles, and you're not getting interviews. How did you feel? Uh, how do you feel with all of that happening?
I felt sad. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like there was something I had to do to be better. And then on top of it, I don't want to say ashamed, but maybe because, whenever people would tell me, oh, your hopes are too high. Just give it. We're being in the market. We're telling you how it is. It's 1 year, and I always thought them. Oh, my case will be different. And it's like, okay, I'm seeing my case will be different. I'm actually believing my case will be different. But what I'm seeing now is not a case that will be different. You get what I mean?
Mm.
So now I'm just like, okay, maybe what the people actually said is true. And then I started feeding my. It became my reality. Like, you know what? Everybody's saying it has to take a year. It has to take a while, and that was it.
Interesting. And then when did it? Because I have a bit of an idea of the program that you took at SkillHat, the Tech Accelerator, and also the product management as well. But when did it click to you that you needed to change strategy? You needed to do something. When did it
Mhm.
occur to you that maybe I should do something? I should look for roles, or I should learn something outside of software development? Because I know a lot of software engineers in my network, and a lot of them experiencing the same thing where the market is, for some reason, maybe with the rise of AI, those software development roles for people who are entering, like junior level roles, are not as much as they used to be 15, 10, or even 5 years ago. But when did it click for you that was like, I have hopes, I have goals. It might not be software development that I would do, but I need to do something, and I need to do something quick.
Yeah. So actually, what happened was I went to this event. It's K-Scope, and I think it was also Aquara, and then Mo was there. So Mo was there. Marvin too was there because actually Marvin really helped me. Shout out to Marvin. And
Shout out to
then
Marvin.
yeah, while we were there, there were other guys there. I met someone there, and then he told me. I shared my story, and then he told me that he was also a software developer, and he made a switch to product management. And I was like, okay, so that does not even go together. How the switch? I thought you do data analysis, maybe data science or data administrator or anything among that line. And he said he did it, but he did it just because that's what he was used to, or he was trying to prove a point because he wanted to make sure that they know that he's the black guy who is good at what he does. And it was kind of like my story where I was too. And then he said, but he ended up realizing that he just spends a lot of his time just doing back end work and getting tax and getting tax. But now, as a product manager, he actually gets to relate with people, understand what other departments do, what different people do, how they correlate together, understand users' needs. And he feels like he's not just doing tax, but he feels like he's offering something. Do you get? When you have that deep conversation with somebody and then they can just pour out their hearts to you. That was actually it for me with him at that point. And then when he explained everything to me, I was like, okay, this makes sense. And then he told me after that, oh, it was nice having a conversation with you, that he loves the way I speak. And he feels like if I get into it, I'll do great. And I'm like, I'm not really sure about it. Like, I've not heard about that for a while and all that kind of thing. But then after having the conversation with him, what he said really spoke to me. And then I reached out to Marvin from the event and I asked Marvin, about the whole program at SkillHat and everything. And then he explained the whole program to me. And I was telling him that I'm not sure I want to put in this money to get this result just because it's a lot of money to put in. And I don't know if I'm going to do good on it. But that already was like the first red flag, because why do you think already that you will not do good at it? So
Oh man, we need to pause on that. It says, why do you think already that you're not going to be good at it? Right? You haven't started a journey, but you've already imagined in your mind that you failed, and that was like a massive red flag. Keep
exactly.
going around.
And then also a friend had spoken to me and told me that you can only go far in life as you imagine. So
Mm.
it's only how you imagine your life that you could go that far. And so I had to, after the conversation with him that day, he told me that I don't have to think about it too much. I should just definitely give a call and then talk about it. And then from there, I should go with whatever my spirit tells me to do. So I came back home that day and I was like, I've been trying the software developer route. It's not going and everything. And even while wanting to become a software developer, there was still the doubt, was I going to do well? Was I going to be good at it? And it was in that moment I started realizing that it was more of a mind game than actually me getting the job.
Mm.
My mind was messed up. Every reason why I wanted to get a job was to prove a point, was to make sure I don't get into this. Do I actually love what I'm getting into? Do I actually see myself already there? And then for me that evening, I was like, if I'm going to pay this amount of money and get double what I'm earning now, I think it's a good bet. But if I'm sitting and thinking, okay, what if I waste this money? Then I'm not even on the right path. Because if I can put this, if I can see myself with the job already, then I can see myself giving up that amount of money just from one paycheck or something. You get
That's amazing.
that was how I tweaked my mind, and then I was like, you know
That's
what,
amazing.
I'm going
Yeah,
to reach out and start.
that's amazing. I think mindset is everything, really. Um, yeah, you lose 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? And I know that there was also a part to it in regards to the immigration. You had about three years. How much time has been exhausted in those 3 years to find a job once you were done with school? When you started considering,
You know what's funny? No time. That's the
interesting.
thing. Because I finished school in April, and then I had situations where I delayed and applied for a work permit in May. So by the time I applied for my work permit in May, you get a WPXT, so an extension for like 8 months while they process your work permit. So I got that, and then from me, I was by the time I started changing my mind, I was like, you know what? As much I said before that I was not going to take the normal time everybody takes to get a job, and I'm saying it again today. I'm going to get a job even before my work permit comes out, and I got my job before my work permit came out.
Wow, man, I want to turn this into a sermon and say a hallelujah, amen to that. Praise the Lord. That's remarkable,
My job
right?
hired me, and up until today, they never asked me to show a work permit or anything of that sort. And it
That
was
is
the highest issue because I was struggling. I'm like, most companies would not want to hire me if I have the extension and not the actual work permit yet. And it got to a point that I was like, you know what, maybe let me just take some time and then wait until the permit comes
You
out.
know what? We're gonna get to that part yet, but I'm just looking at your mindset. Like, first off, you spend 2 years learning a whole new language because you're going to go to a place. So you're studying German, and then you take a program in software development. You've not done anything with coding until then, and then you succeed at it, and you come out of school, you're expecting that, oh, my days, jobs are going to be flying left, right, and center. I'm going to get internships. And now you have to pivot outside of what you thought was the holy grail that's going to get me to the promised land into something that's totally different as well. But your mindset throughout every single step of the way, very, very consistent. Out of curiosity, like, where do you get that mindset from to have a positive attitude, to make sure that your story is different, to be determined, to take that risk and invest in yourself? Like, where does that mindset come from? All right.
So I believe a lot in faith, and I didn't have a big circle of friends, but the little friends I have, they they have a different mindset. I have a friend, she really sees like differently, and so just seeing those people and how they can always just speak things and it happens for them. And I also want to become a public speaker eventually, so I watch a couple of people and just how the power of the mind pretty much, because like I mentioned before, my mind was messed up. I didn't
Mm,
see good in anything I did. I didn't see until the day I realized that I'm my highest problem and I'm my highest cheerleader. If everybody sees something good in me and I don't see, then there's a problem. So from there, I was like, you know what? If I keep staying here, I'm going to constantly feel bad. I'm going to cry, and it's not going to change anything. So it's high time I fix my life, take every negative feedback I need, and up my game. So that was it. Because I was like, I've been crying
huge,
and it's not paying me. It's not paying off.
huge, huge, huge. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Now let's talk about, because this story just unfolds in an interesting way as well. Let's talk about the SkillHat experience. You came and took the product management course. Um, how did you find the program? How did you find learning product management? It sounds like you have a consistency of learning new things, but I wanted to know, how did you find the material of product management when you took SkillHat?
It was very insightful. So I actually did not take the course because I started studying by myself, and then obviously I had the money constraints at that point. But I remember talking to Marvin, and I was like, okay, I want to take the accelerator program because
Interesting. So you didn't take the course, you took the accelerator program as a product manager.
yes.
Okay. Speak to us about your experience when you got into the accelerator program. What was the experience like working
Mhm.
on a project, and what app did you guys build? Tell us about the whole experience, the idea that you had, the role that you played
Mhm.
throughout the accelerator program.
So my team and I were working on Sprouted. It was a plant app.
Oh my days. Were you in Aisha's team as well?
Yes, that was Aisha. She was a Scrum Master, project
That
manager.
is my favorite product, by the way,
Thank you.
that has come out of SkillHat. I thought that was fantastic. How you guys lost that round, I thought it was robbery for some reason. But you guys did an amazing job. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. But yeah,
So
share with us.
getting into Sprouted. Actually, I remember the day Mo put out the different ideas that we're going to be selecting, and then for some reason, plant app it didn't really sit well with me because what is my business with plants? I don't have plants. There's no interest. But I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, if I get a job, I will not necessarily get a job in something I like doing. And either ways, I will have to deliver. So I intentionally went to Sprouted because it was the worst thing on the list for me. It's like, what am I doing plants? But let me go there. And if I can excel in this, then it means I'm ready. If you don't hire me, you're the problem. Do you get? So I put my name there, and at the point there were three product managers, there were three project managers, and then Mo was reshuffling, and I'm just like, God, please, you should not remove my name, please, don't remove my name. And then he finally left me in the team. So first time we have meetings, and I'm just talking with amazing people, the product managers, the BAs, everybody just wanted to learn, and we had good developers on our team as well. So me coming to my team was my mindset was I wanted to learn from everybody, and I wanted to make sure I'm delivering the best. I'd watched previous cohorts, and I was like, you know what these people did, we wanted to create it in our own team and even do it better. At the beginning, when we started, there were a couple of I don't want to say cold wars because like it's putting different people together with different personalities. But every session we had with Mo, he taught us one thing or the other that was able to help us build our product. And I understood the role of me being a product manager at that point because obviously not data analyst. I understood my position as a product manager, and I also wanted to learn what the different people I'm working with, what exactly they do. So that was good for me, collaborating with the different members of our teams. Whenever we have those issues, what is our approach to settling them? Understanding people's mindset and just contributing those ideas together. And I had a good team. I had a great team of people. Not that everybody was always consistent on everything, but the moment where one person was down, the other person was able to help up. Or if it felt
That's
like
amazing.
I'm not doing something right, then somebody's always there to tell me, okay, I'm going to help you. And I think this is how you should do it. And we got to understand ourselves with time until when we finished the cohort, we had the dinner date, but unfortunately, we didn't.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's remarkable. Hey, man, I wish I was part of this product team. I'm such a fan, to be honest. If I was a plant owner, I would totally be using the app today.
Thank you.
But I'm more of a meat guy than a plant guy. However, if you're in the chat, you're wondering what is the Tech Career Accelerator? It's a 9-week immersive program at SkillHat where we put you in a cross-functional team, and for 9 weeks, you decide on a SaaS idea or a tech idea, either a mobile application or a desktop application, and build it from ideation to launch with everyone contributing their expertise. So developers building the code, UX designers, doing the front end, the product manager doing the roadmap, the business analyst gathering the requirements, Scrum Master. I think you get the gist. So that
Yeah.
was the program that Orang was part of. There was something that was different about you doing the accelerator program, Orang, is how you were very particular about learning other roles, even within the accelerator, right? So working with the BAs and working with the Scrum Master. First off, what impact did that have on you, because some people come and say, okay, I'm just a product manager. All I'm doing is product roadmap. That's all I'm doing. But you had a different approach. You were, okay, this is what I do, but I want to
Yeah.
understand what you do and understand how you do it and collaborate with you while you're building the app. What impact did that have on your journey around?
So for me was at the end of the day, I'd realized I'd watched a couple of podcasts and I noticed that at the end of the day, if a product fails, it's at the high risk goes to the product manager. So in order for me to stand out, if I'm working with people, like if this is my body, in order for me to know how my hand functions, I need to know the primary function for my hand, my legs, my feet, so that if in case my hand is not working today, can I use the left hand to support me, or can I use my leg, or what else can I use to help me? So that was kind of it for me. I wanted to know how different things come together to produce a common good or common result. And also, if it happens today that the BA is down, so are we not going to work anymore? As if
Hmm.
we're going to sit and wait until she comes back, and then the next time we have a session with Coach El Sawi, or the next time we have a session with Mo, and then we're asking questions, we're just going to sit there lost because our BA was not there. I did not think that it was a good enough reason for us not to show something. So if the event where the BA is not there, we may not be quote unquote expertise in that area, but we can do something to show that we're trying. And also, I don't think I have a fixed route to things. I believe I could go anywhere and I will still succeed in it. So if it
That's
happens today that product management stops, what happens to me next? Do I stop? No, I can always use everything I have left and walk my way. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely amazing. What was the feeling like once you finished? And if you're in the either you're a student in the accelerator program or you're an alumni with the in the accelerator program, put TCA in the chat. Represent. I see a few Sprouts people in here. Just put TCA in the chat. If you took the accelerator program here at SkillHat, what was it like to finally get it done after 9 weeks? A whole product that you built with a cross-functional team from start to finish. What was that feeling like when you saw your app? Like, oh my goodness, I
Yeah.
was part of this. I built this. What was that feeling like for you? All
It was rewarding, let me put it that way, because at the beginning I didn't see vision with Sprouted because I'm like, plant up. Who is going to be interested in this? How are we going to come every week? But looking back at it, every week, every Friday where we had the presentation, there was no negative feedback. It was always good job, Sprouted. Learn from Sprouted. I love the presentation. From the start to finish, it just showed consistency, even in the points where we had difficulties in our team. And it just showed me how much I'd grown compared to when I started the accelerator and when I ended, and how much of my network I'd created. Because we would work even at site. We were not just coming to do the accelerator. We will spend time talking about our personal lives. Okay, what are you doing? What can I help you in this aspect? Can I do this? I remember we had Obsidi and we planned as a team we were going to go together. These are the things we were going to do. There was just so much unity with us. Even when there were developer interviews, or no, not developer interviews, developer conferences, people will be like, oh, I got 2 tickets. Who is coming? Let's go for this. There was just a stream of opportunities. You just see people. We became a family at the end of it all. And we did not win, which was sad because I felt like we deserved that.
You guys deserve to win. Shout out to Mo. I need to circle back with him on that, but
We're
keep going.
deserving of that, but just the fact that even though we did not win, everybody in the crowd felt our impact. There was from the moment we started talking rather to the end, it was evident that although we did not win, we did leave impacts in people. Yeah,
That's amazing. That's
that was it for
amazing.
me.
Fantastic. And if you were to put, what would be your top three things that the Tech Career Accelerator did for you? If you were to say your top three things, what would it be? The top three things that the Tech Career Accelerator did for you?
So my first thing, I don't know how to put it, but he gave me an experience, something that remains with me. Because every interview question I answered, I don't have any experience. I answered based on the TCA. So I took the
Interesting.
TCA like an actual job. And then almost every interview question I got, it was related to something in some way or the other we had experienced it during the TCA, to be very
Interesting.
honest. So he gave me a live experience. He gave me a good network of people, from the people in the teams to the coaches to my team members to even working with other teams to even having other teams reach out to us to ask us what do we do well. He also taught me never to say your secret to other teams. Sorry, because we had things we did differently in Friday, but we just couldn't share it until the end of the accelerator. And
Amazing.
then lastly, it taught me to, did I say be daring? It just taught me to trust the process.
Hmm.
It taught me to trust.
That's huge. That's huge. That's huge. So, trust the process, taught you to be daring. You got to network with a lot of amazing professionals that became friends and even family. And then the first one was just giving you that experience when you mentioned that you were able to connect with, you were able to connect the things that you did in the TCA with the interview questions. So let's talk about once you're done with the TCA. The TCA is done. You get into the job market. What was that experience like? Was the TCA was done and then you're right into the job market?
So I got a job before I finished the TCA.
Wait a second. I didn't know that part. You got a job before
Before
you
finishing
finished the
the TCA.
TCA.
Yes.
That's so interesting. Tell us about that. How did that happen?
So I remember Mo. I don't know if he put it on his LinkedIn or he said this, and because when we went for case scope, they gave him a couple of minutes to talk and then ask people and answer questions, and then there was something he said. He said people even get jobs before they finish, and I was like, that is my word. That
Mhm.
is me. I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm just going to go in full force. So for me, I was applying while taking the accelerator.
That's
I
amazing.
was going hand and forth because just hearing him say people could get jobs before it, and I'm like, so one of me, are they any better than I am? So I mean,
Mhm.
actually get that too. And then I started applying. I was applying while taking it, and then I had my coaching call with Coach Pelumi. And then I remember the first time meeting him, he told me that if you're preparing for a job only when if you're preparing for an interview only when you get an interview, you're already preparing to fail. And I was like,
Well, we're going
no,
to say that again. If you're preparing for an interview,
only
only when you get an interview, you're preparing
preparing
to
to
fail.
fail.
Huge, huge, huge.
And at that point, I just felt sad. I just thought, like, why does this? What's his problem? Like, why is it coming from me or anything? But in that moment, I decided to shift my emotions and actually listen to what he's saying because everything he's saying was just for my good. He doesn't know me from anywhere, and there's no reason for him to, want to be wicked to me or something of that sort. And then he told me that he said I have to take it very personal, very aggressive in my job search. And if I want to get something even before finishing, then I know that I have to go the extra mile, both in my interviews, before getting the interviews, and just fixing my resume. So that was it for me. The first time I went for an interview, it did not work well. After the first stage, I wasn't called. I went back to Coach Pelumi and I'm like, okay, I got the first round. I did the first round of the interview, but I wasn't selected. And he told me I could ask for feedback. So I reached out to the lady and asked her for feedback. And she said, oh, there was nothing wrong I did, but my skill set just did not match what they were looking for. And I'm like, but you called me for an interview, you need to show my resume. I don't get. But then that was it for me. Then now I got the second interview. And I remember telling him, I don't want to miss this opportunity, that I don't think I have to have 10 interviews before getting a job. So I met him for the first round of the interview. We worked together. He told me certain things, and he told me that he's going to be very honest with me, and it's because he wants me to change. He wants me to do better. Let me put it that way. And if I can take everything he's telling me seriously, he can guarantee me that I'll get a job in no time. I went for the first round of the interview. It went so well. Everything scheduled for the next round. It was very beautiful. And then I was going for the second round. And funny enough, I stumbled on Mo's video where he spoke about the 30, 60, 90 plan. And I'm like, okay, is this another thing to just try and then it will not work? Why would I have to be asking the interviewer for 5 minutes after to explain something to them? They're the ones asking me questions. I didn't know how to feel about it. But I went ahead. He put an AI something that you could use to create like the slides. I used the AI, created my presentation slides, showed Coach Pelumi and asked him, what do you think about this? And he was like, okay, this is very amazing. But he feels like my expectations are too much. That he wants, as much as I'm trying to market myself to these people, I want to be also as honest as possible and tell them that, let me not set too much expectations, but tell them that I will learn with time. That's what I did with
Exactly.
the 90-day plan. And I did it. And my interview was over an hour, 10 minutes. And I'm telling you, it was amazing. Like
Wow.
at that point, I knew I was going to the next stage. I didn't have to be told again. I was not waiting for any confirmation. I just knew that I was going to the next stage because of
That's
how I
amazing.
delivered. When I got to the 30, 60, 90 plan, it was like, oh, we're not expecting this. Okay. And then one of the interviewers told me that, oh, I like how you put your 30, 60, 90 plan. That most people always put it and they set too much expectations, but you
That's
were just
amazing.
being honest. And I'm like, this is what Coach Pelumi told me
What
about
we told you
prior to
about.
the year. And that was it for me. But I didn't get the job, funny enough. I went up to the
Interesting.
last week of the interview and then they reached out to me and told me that they did budgeting and they noticed that paying a product manager would be so expensive. And at this point, they want to get an intern. And I'm like, wow, it's been how many stages of interviews just to get this? At that point, I've been discouraged, but I was like, you know what? I still have to keep going. And
That's true.
then somebody put out a job description in Slack and SkillHat. Prior to that, I had sent in people who put in job things, and I'll always go and message them, but it won't go well. But then one
Hmm.
day, where she put out something, and I'm like, you know what? I'll message this girl and see how this goes. So I messaged her, I
Hmm.
reached out to her, and she's like, do I think that my skill set matches? I told her that, okay, my skill set may not 100% match, but I think here that I can do, the things that
Hmm.
I've learned even from other people. And if you give me the opportunity to learn, I think I'll do a good job. And she was like, okay, fine. Let's jump on the call when I'm done work. She showed me everything about our company and she said she's willing to help me as long as I'm willing to put in the work.
That's
And I was like,
amazing.
okay, I think I can do this. You know, she literally fixed my LinkedIn for me because she knows all the insights in the company. She fixed my LinkedIn in a way it could match the company's own.
So this is someone from the SkillHat community.
I got a referral for my job. No.
That's fantastic. Keep going.
So she fixed my LinkedIn for me, fixed everything that I needed to do. And she told me that at this point, she has done the best she could do. And when I get the interview, it's my own opportunity to sell myself. And I held on to that because she's a stranger. She doesn't know me from anywhere. And she took all of these efforts just to help me because she said the community helped her too. And she felt like it's giving back to what gave to her. You get.
That's amazing.
So I was like, even for anything, just because I don't want to disappoint her, I'm just going to do my best at it. And then one thing I used is ChatGPT. So apparently ChatGPT has the voice enhancer which I use. So since I could not have Coach Pelumi every day talk to me, I would talk to Chat and then ask it about my pacing. How is my story? Am I conveying am I getting you lost in the mist? How am I speaking? And that was just how I'll practice daily. I searched the person that was interviewing me. I took her about, put it on LinkedIn, put it on ChatGPT, took the job description, put it there, and asked her. So based on this person's about, and then what do you think are some questions they can ask me? And then from there, I got certain questions, answered those questions with chat, met with Coach Pelumi, we worked on it, on to the point where he told me that I'm good for this job, and I know that I should just know that I'll get the job. And I was like,
That's amazing.
okay, finally, yeah.
That's fantastic, man. You have a man, your story is one of just pure resilience. I can imagine that, and a lot of people in the chat are saying that's a useful tip, right? I'm sure people here are learning a lot of amazing and interesting tips they can leverage. But I think at multiple times when you face adversity, rather than throwing your hands in the air, oh, I gave it my best, you were always willing to pick yourself up. And the truth is, applying for jobs is a job,
True,
is a journey, but you
true,
have to show up 100% of the time
yeah,
because you don't know what your next opportunity might come from, right? And someone just said, you're very resilient. Your intentional foresight is amazing. Those are things coming in through the chat. Now, Orang, take us to that day. Bam, the email comes in. We want to let you know that we are taking you, we're hiring you for a business analyst. And I think something that I don't know if the audience got is that you trained for a product management role, but during the product management role, you were working so close with the business analyst that when a business analyst position came, you were able to jump on it and say, "Hey, I can learn on the job, but I know a lot already." Correct?
true.
All right, all right. So tell us about it. How was that feeling once you got the that email saying we're giving you the job? What was it like?
So I remember the day they called. I was on a call with a friend, and then the company called, and they didn't actually give me the offer letter. They asked for references, and I'm like, okay, references. And she's like, because she was working before, she was working for Telos, and she's like, yeah, if they call you for references, that means your chances are that high. And at that point, I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know what to think. I was just short of words. But I was like, maybe they can take the job from me. So let me do my references first before I start getting all excited. And then I did my references, and then he called me, spoke about the pay. And then I remember Pelumi telling me that always try to push it further, push the pay further. I was scared, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try and then see. And then I pushed the pay. And then the next day, I didn't get any response from them. I'm like, God, I hope I've not lost this job because of greed. Oh, please. My mom lost this job because of greed. And then he called me and he's like, you know what? We actually spoke to VP and they agreed, and I'm going to go ahead and send you the offer letter with the price which you wanted. And I'm like, really? Is this happening to me? and I'll just feel the excitement and gratitude.
What do you think changed? What's the first thing that changed with the increased pay? You're now in tech. You have, the job that you can use to apply for your, your work permit. Tell me what changed within like the first 1 month, 2 months after working in your life after you got the job?
After I got the job, what changed?
Yes.
Um, I grew. I started getting opportunities. I started looking back in time and I was realizing that a lot of things I was worrying about, if I had just understood that it was a process and it was bringing me to this moment, I wouldn't have been worried like I was prior to that.
Huge,
Yeah.
huge, 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 huge.
You know, I've been sitting sometimes and just chilling, take like breathe and drink water.
Relax.
I'm like, yes,
That's awesome.
um,
Man, all right, your story really inspired me today. I'm so grateful for your time. I want to open up to the audience if they had any particular questions that they wanted to ask. Um, is BA and product management interchangeable? Yes and no. I think there's some specific tasks that a product manager does, but from BA to product management is a regular ascension plan. Some people, when they break into a BA role, product management is like the next step. Um, how would you answer that, Aram?
I'd say to some extent, just like you mentioned, just because at the end of the day, not only do they do the business market sizing and everything, but there's also the cross-functional collaboration with teams. There's then talking to those teams. We will all use almost the same platforms at the end of the day with work. And if you have those skills, I consider them transferable skills enough. As a data analyst to as I'm sorry, as a product manager for me too, I learned other skills like analyzing data. While we were doing the surveys and everything, I will go through the data, analyze them, put them in Excel to study it very well, which is also what the BAs will do. And we most of the times we were on meetings with the BAs and the project managers for a lot of times, so they get to explain exactly how they got this output. And you notice that it's not actually the same, but there's something you can pick from it that will help you in your BA role. And at the end of the day, when you get a job, it's not that if you're a BA, you not only do business, business, business. You get to do multiple things. You get to put your hands on a lot of things based on business requirements. That way, you also know that you're constantly growing in your company and you're adding value. So, funny enough, I work as a BA, but just because I have data analysis skill, sometimes I even use Python at work. I told my manager that, oh, I'm good at this. And if any opportunity comes where you need extra help, I help in that. And I feel like all of this will help you not only in the job, but also to grow in the job.
Awesome, sounds good. So once you do one, can you do the other 100%? That was from Captain Civil. Anybody else with a question for Orang Muniz? How long were you in the job market? What job sites were you using to apply? Were you applying for product management roles specifically?
I was in the job market for April, May, June, July, August, September, October. I was in the job market for 6 months, pretty much 5 to 6 months. But then I was also doing the accelerator. What job sites were you using to apply? I used LinkedIn. So I noticed, I don't know if it was Mo or Scotch Bellamy, I don't know who said this, but somebody mentioned that we could go ahead and reach out to people on LinkedIn. So I drafted a template with the help of ChatGPT. And then every time I want to apply for a job, I will look for, sorry to bias, but I'll look for a black folk in the company and then send them a little message just to have a chat or something. Because I remember messaging another person and it's just like, sorry, I cannot refresh strangers and all that kind of thing. But I found out that with the black people, I don't know if we kind of understood ourselves on the difficulties in Canada.
True,
But
true.
every time I reached out to somebody, they were always willing to jump on the call, even though they were not hiring in the moment. They could tell me somebody who knew somebody. So just messaging people, and I use LinkedIn, I use Monster, I use Indeed, and then the next question was, were you only applying? I wasn't only applying for product management positions. I noticed there were job positions that were not product management positions. The title do not carry product management, but if you see the job description, what you actually do, it's literally almost the same thing you do. So that was how like I would structure my application. And I noticed that it's better to apply for 50 strategic positions a day than to apply for 500 positions and you're just submitting resume anyhow. Or
Mm,
so I will take the template, I'll use the template Coach Pelumi gave, put it on ChatGPT, put the resume, and then ask ChatGPT to add in words that will pass ATS scan because I knew I just needed an interview. And then after an interview, I was going to, practice and sell myself out. So I just wanted to pass ATS scan, and then ChatGPT helped me with that. And when I got to the stage of for interviews, the voice part of ChatGPT that actually discusses with you, you can select whatever voice you want and just basically talk to it and tell it to rate you. So practice with ChatGPT, it will rate me on 10. Sometimes I got 5, then I started getting 6 on 10, then 7 on 10, and then that was just pretty it for me.
That's amazing. And yeah, like we say a lot, tech is a girl that wears different dress, but at the end of the day, it's the same girl, right? So some roles you just look at the implementation manager, and then you look at the role. It's basically a business analyst role or a product management role. So just watch out for those like your enterprise implementation, like those sort of titles. And they usually just PO, PM, or BA roles for sure. We can take one more question before we wrap up from today's How I Got the Job series. Any questions? Any more questions? Okay, well, if you don't have any question, while I'm going to be presenting what we do here in SkillHat, feel free to just type in what was the biggest thing that you learned today. So we have 24 people live. Just type in the chat. What was your biggest takeaway today during the How I Got the Job series? Orang, you absolutely did a great job.
Thank you.
And you're ferocious, you're determined, you're going to do great things. And I believe that this is just the beginning. You're going to do amazing things. I want to say thank you so much for coming on board. So says, what did you prompt that got, I'm not sure. What did you prompt for the LinkedIn profile? In Congo, you just kind of have to say that a little bit better. I don't quite understand it, the question. Just what did you prompt for the LinkedIn profile? So I think what she said was she got the about section of maybe a recruiter or someone who's going to be interviewing her, and then she got the job description, and then she asked ChatGPT to come up with a few questions that she can prepare for with that. Hope I was able to answer that. Someone says the networking is key. Actually, all began in networking. We reached out to somebody at Case, and it's so interesting because did you see me at that event? Because I was at that event as well. Yes, 100%. I was at that event as well. So full circle moment. Washe says, be resilient and be the best at what you do. Aisha says, I learned a lot from Orang. Thanks for sharing your story. And I'm just going to be sharing my screen. If you're new to the SkillHat community, you're wondering, what is accelerator program or what is this or what is that? I'm just going to share with you my screen. When it comes to landing and rolling tech, there are just four gaps that you need. You need to learn the skill. You need to have that hands-on experience, what she talked about in the accelerator. You need to know how to market yourself. And then a big part of it is networking, because she got the job from a member of the community. And how do we solve for these gaps here in SkillHat? Well, the first one is our live boot camp that goes between 9 to 11 weeks. So if you're looking for a BA role, product management role, project management role, our product management boot camp now is self-paced, and then you meet with a coach once a week. Once you're done with the boot camp, there's courses, there are homeworks, group projects, just to keep you accountable. Once you're done, you pass your exams, then you go on to the Tech Career Accelerator, which Orang explained in detail. 9-week where you're building out a full-fledged product with a cross-functional team. And the beauty about it is that all the work that you do will be put in your resume and will be put in your LinkedIn profile as real hands-on experience. Then we have your 6-figure navigator. She kept mentioning Coach Pelumi. That was the 6-figure navigator, the one-on-one coaching with Coach Pelumi, where you get insights like she did with a coach who would help you throughout your application journey, revamp your resume with you, optimize your LinkedIn profile, and then also prepare you for interviews. Then you get insight into our recruiter and employer connections. Like Orang, she got a job from a member of the community. So that's something that we offer here at SkillHat. And then job success. So once you get the job, we'll work with you for 30 days just to make sure that you have all you need to be successful. So I don't know where you are right now. Orang was a student who was done with school and she just needed a break to get a job for her immigration, but also just to make some money because that's what we came to Canada for, right? All right. How do you get there? The boot camp, the accelerator, and then the one-on-one coaching. So if you are looking for a change right now, if you're in a place where you're like, I'm done, I want something new, I want to I want something new, I want to make a change, then there's an opportunity right now to book a call. I'm going to post the link in the chat. But to book a call, 1 second, I'm going to put that in the chat. Click on the link below, book a call to speak with one of our career coaches. Shout out to Marvin, by the way. What was the experience when you spoke with Marvin on the call, Orang?
It was good. It was good.
All
He really
right.
help and then answer questions, just break down the whole process to you and also ask you because it's one thing to tell somebody what they're doing but it's one thing to also attain to their needs. So he could ask you what is your current situation so we can help you based on where you are at now.
All right. So maybe you're at a point where I don't even know what BA is or product is or project management is. Book a call. You have a one-on-one coach, one-on-one learning advisor who would attend to your specific needs. Maybe you're thinking, hey, I've been doing, I don't know, nursing, truck driving, whatever it is for too long and I need a break. I need a change. Book a call, right? Maybe you're thinking, I want to work remotely so I can spend more time with my family. My job is taking too much time. It's taking a toll on me. I'm in traffic an hour, 2 hours every day. Book a call. There's a lot of opportunities and there are everyday stories with people just like you who are able to transform their lives by landing high paying roles in technology. So make sure you book a call to speak with a learning advisor like myself or one of my colleagues. Orang, this was amazing.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. This was fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. And also to the members of the people who are watching, thank you all for joining in and learning. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at SkillHat. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Most importantly, book a call. Now we have 2 minutes left. I just want to open up. Does anyone have any questions regarding the program? Any questions regarding what we do here at SkillHat? You can put that in the chat before we end the call for today. Any questions going once? Going twice? All right. All right. Thank you all. This has been an amazing time, Orang. And I just look forward to just more and more amazing things happening for you. Thank
For
you so
sure.
much for your time.
Thank you
You all
too.
have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful. What were you saying, Orang?
No, I was just saying thank you everyone for joining.
All right. Sounds good. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Take care and bye-bye.
Bye.